Hi guys, we may have found the next market winner. It is drones. Once again, investors are watching where the Trump White House is pointing because recently when Trump supports a sector, money often follows. Many of you may have already seen or heard the news, but there are few important points we should look at. This time reports say Trump White House is looking at ways to support US made drones. So not just drone industry, but made in US drones. Because of that, the market is once again trying to find stocks that could benefit. The thinking is simple. When Trump points to something, those stocks tend to move. So today, let's take a closer look at some possible names in this sector. Before we start, I post the important market news every day on my YouTube short. I strongly believe this will help your investment decision. So please check them out and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any. Okay, then let's get started. The first thing to understand is this. When it comes to drones, the Trump team does not want America to depend on Chinese products. They want to support drones made in the United States. That leads to today's main idea. US made drones are not just a tech theme, they are becoming a key national asset. That seems to be the way the Trump White House is looking at this area, and that is why investors are paying attention. Nothing has been fully confirmed yet, but the key point is this: they are not simply looking to buy drones. The bigger point is that they may invest in companies that can build the production base for drones. That fits very closely with Trump's bigger goal, bringing American manufacturing back. This is the core idea. They are not just looking at drone sellers or drone service companies. They seem more interested in companies that have drone factories, can build drone factories, or can help expand the US production base. In other words, companies that can help America make things inside the country are getting attention. That appears to be first condition. There were three companies reported as possible candidates. Two of them are private companies, so regular investors cannot buy them in the stock market, unfortunately. The one public market is Unusual Machines. Ticker is UMAC. After the news came out, the stock jumped sharply. One thing to note is that Donald Trump Jr. has also owned a stake in this company. So there has been some debate about a possible conflict of interest. I also went back and checked my notes from November 2024. It is an older file, but around early Trump period, this stock moved higher because people were talking about Trump Jr.'s investment. That company was Unusual Machines, the same name now being discussed as one of the top candidates for possible US government support. Of course, I'm not recommending this stock here. Again, the ticker is UMAC. Back then, the stock also ran up because Trump Jr. had a stake, was listed as a major shareholder, and was involved with a board member. But the real point is this: the US does not want to rely on Chinese drones. It wants to build its own drone supply. That is why drones had already been one of the possible big winners under Trump. And now that story is starting to become more real. Over the weekend, I also saw another related update. This was from Saturday, May 30th. President Trump himself posted about it. He shared an image and called it a drone port on the roof of the White House. To me, it felt almost too direct, like he was openly promoting the idea. Of course, he had already made it clear that he wanted to support this area, so it is not really surprising. But still, he even posted about it over the weekend. The image itself was made with AI, but the important part is that Trump personally posted it. As I said before, this looks like a very open push. It can help drone related stocks. It gives him the story of bringing American manufacturing back, and it can also support the stock market. In other words, he may be trying to catch two goals at once. Trump is the kind of person who sees a strong stock market as part of his political message. That is why he keeps bringing attention to these areas. According to materials shared by the US Department of Defense earlier this year, the government has ever been running a type of drone competition to choose the final companies that may receive large support. So even when the story was quiet, this project was still moving in the background. When we talk about key US national assets, we are talking about space, defense, and drones. Drones are part of the larger defense story. We saw how important drones were in the Russia Ukraine war. They also played a major role in conflict involving the US and Iran. So it is hard to imagine the US ignoring this area. America also has to prepare for possible tension with China. Even if nothing happens soon, the US still needs to be ready. The problem is that America's drone technology and production power are still not strong enough. So it makes sense that they want to build this industry. Early this year, Trump also said the defense budget should rise by 50% and that drones should be one of the biggest areas for new spending. That is why this topic is getting attention again. So in the end, I do not think US made drones are just a short-term stock market theme. Under Trump and even under a future president, drones will likely remain part of the defense story. This is becoming a sector that investors may need to keep watching. Right now, the US can reportedly produce fewer than 100,000 drones per year. They make sense because running factories in America is expensive. Labor costs are high and production costs are not cheap. But now, the goal seems to be raising that number to more than 1 million drones per year. The US wants to lower costs and, more importantly, reduce its dependence on China. Moving away from China is the main goal. For those who want to focus only on drone stocks, there is an ETF called DRNG. But this is very risky and very volatile ETF because many of the companies inside it are still losing money. Individual drone stocks can be even riskier. Uh, so that is something investors must understand. The ETF includes global drone companies, but unfortunately there is no ETF that hold only US drone names yet. But many of the companies are from the US and Israel. Today I started with the drone stocks, but my main point is not simply buy drone stocks. The bigger idea I want to share is this. The Trump White House is supporting key national assets. They want to bring back industries that America cannot afford to lose. They do not want US to depend on other countries in areas that matter for national safety and future power. A good example is the US semiconductor supply chain. They are trying to bring it back through companies like Intel. Another example is rare earth materials and raw materials. Every time America wants to build something important, it needs these materials. China often uses rare earth as a pressure tool. You need them for jet, robots, space projects, smartphones, electric cars, and many other products. Without key materials, nothing can be made. That is why the US is also trying to rebuild its raw material supply chain. The same idea applies to quantum technology. It is future tech area and the US want to build it at home. That is why we are seeing support through direct investment. Drones are still not fully confirmed, but they are clearly being reviewed. In future wars, people may fight less directly, while drones play a bigger role. So this is an area the US almost has no choice but to support. China already has a very strong position in this market, so America will likely keep pushing its own drone industry. So if you keep this in mind, it may help you see the bigger picture as an investor. I also reminded myself of this while putting everything together. Maybe the better way to think is this: invest in areas the government has no choice but to support. If you like this video today, please hit the like and subscribe channel. I'll come back with another interesting and important market update and insight. See you in the next video. I'll be back.